was like 20, and not even 21 yet, when I began to learn a very brand new way of teaching it, actually. And it was a wonderful way for me to have something to go to figure out things, to sort myself out, to understand how, what, when, and where. And so tools are important. A lot of people use a lot of, I mean, I had a lot of tools at one time that I used to. I studied astrology for 3 years, realized that didn't work very well for me because I was more psychic, you might say, more intuitive than I was mentally, like memorizing all these things. But I learned a lot, and that was important. And I met some wonderful, wonderful astrology teachers at the time. I did a lot of study around past life regressions as how they worked, and did many workshops on that topic, and understand and wrote a booklet about it. Well, a little book, yes. And so the studies that you do, and how do they motivate you to deal with the situations that come up in your life? Because life can go smoothly for a while, and then something comes along, and it's like being on a sea, and all of a sudden the sea gets rough, and then again it gets rough. How do you handle that? Well, if you're in a big boat and they're worried about what's going to happen to the boat, they give you a life jacket. So what's your life jacket? But more than that, what is it that motivates you to learn more about spiritual or metaphysical situations? I don't know, I just grew up always wanting to know more about this whole energy thing and how it worked, and not realize actually it was a God thing. I want to know about God. And I never ever found that. When I was growing up, I never quite got the answer, and so, and that was kind of a life pursuing, how to pursue that, how to figure that out. And because of courses that I took, and because of being in places where I learned, I came in contact what I call the love force, which is doesn't matter what name you call it, doesn't matter what you have or what you look for. What is it? Where do you go to get information? Many of us who have studied metaphysics, we are taught to go inside and ask, and whether it's through a prayer method, whether it's through just listening or awareness and allowing the answers to come. I was thinking, actually, that how there have been times in my life where I'm going to go back a little bit. So often people think that when you're learning and you're gathering and everything, that life is smooth and simple. Well, maybe for some people, it certainly wasn't for me. I very often found myself, and as I'll talk about on Wednesday more specifically, how all of a sudden, if you know anything about the death symbol, it was like I was in one of those, or the tower, or those heavy duty ones. And it would be like, all of a sudden you have everything all planned, everything is going nicely, then something occurs, and it's like all of a sudden you're not quite where strong or where you were or what's happening. How do you handle that? When you go to get the inspiration, sometimes a lot of people sometimes come to me to do readings or transformation work or whatever for them, because they realize they haven't got a grip, or they just not understanding. And that is good. So I'm very happy that people utilize my knowledge in that way. But it's like understanding that there is a force that supports you and wants the very best for you. And this is what I find very often that people don't get when they whether they're really like churchgoers, whether they're have a book, whether they've been studying many of the tools that there are. It's really about knowing that you are supported in love no matter what. No matter what's going on, that the answer is there in front of you, but we often don't like it. It's like we know the answer sometimes, but we don't want to do it, or we don't want to. It fringes on who we are and our fear of who we are, the fear of not being as good as, or whatever. There's all these little fears that we have running around there. And it's like we can motivate ourselves really, really well to move forward. But I must say in those times that I was in the desert, like the death symbol, or other times when you're in the desert not knowing what, like it's like your life that you've created and built up has just disappeared. And often that wasn't through you. It was, for me, it was like often world situations, outside situations. And then it's like that's when the miracles happen. That's when you've got to be open to know that you are loved enough that there will be an answer. There will be something that will come along from somebody, or something you'll read, something you'll hear, and often, for my case, a person has come along and given me the answer, even though I didn't even really know I was looking for it. So I want you to be aware of, as you go through this next week, what does motivate you? What helps you resolve the issues that you have? What gives you a sense of that largeness, that of the support that you have and is there for you? You know, no one said life was going to be easy. Nobody comes along and says, you know what, life's going to be really, really easy, so don't worry about anything. It'll be fine. It all works out. Well, I always know that it will work out because I learned that. No one ever told me that. I just had to learn that. And I had a saying, one of my sayings is, I have lots of little different sayings, was everything adds. And sometimes that adding you don't like at all, because it means you have to do something you don't particularly want to do, or it takes you to the edge of your comfort zone, etc. But when you are in growth, when you are wanting to become more than, and when you're wanting to understand yourself better, or you want to have evidence that there is a force, it's like you get taken to the edge. You'll get taken right to the edge of things. And it's that faith. It is that knowingness that this energy loves you, cares about you, is there to support you, and will get you to wherever it is you want to go. I was going to say, it makes me a little sad, actually, that people don't really congregate as much in groups now where they're fortified or given strength. Now, I'm not saying they don't exist, because they do, but there's so many today that, where do they go? Where do they go to get, what's the word? Support, knowledge, awareness. Yes, there's lots of books. There's lots of CDs. And now we've got the internet, and we've got this shorts, and we've got TikTok. We've got, besides the traditional Facebook and Twitters and things like the Instagram and things like that. But how do you feel supported when you're not sure where to go? Often that's the time when someone shows up that says, oh, look at this, or do this, or do that. And it sometimes takes a lot of inner guts, actually, if I put it bluntly, to get you going to a place where you can be inspired to be more of who you are. You can move above any obstacles. I come from a country where racehorsing is big. It was really, and it was a big social event when I was young. It's not so much now, because everything is all in you can see it on TV everywhere. But anyway, that was a highlight for us as a kid, when we all got dressed up to go out to the races. But what I always liked was the races where they jumped over the hurdles. Sometimes a horse fell. The odd time I was there when a horse had to be put down, which is sad because they broke his leg or something like that happened. But it was exciting to watch how these horses would go over these hurdles. And I think that's where I got that when we have an obstacle, we can't run away from it. We've got to look at it squarely. We've got to look at our alternatives. We've got to see what we're going to do. And I know very often, my dad used to take me. So it was like, we were there. I can't afraid it's one of my cherished memories with my dad. But we would get there, we'd be watching, we'd be in a stand where you were saying, looking over, and of course the Kentucky Derby's coming up next month, and I'm already looking to see where are the pre-races? I do still today like watching the races on the TV, but there's something about those horses that is so majestic. And when you have the hurdles, like we don't really see too much hurdles here in North America, but England has a big steeplechase. I think Ireland does too. I don't know that we see that one, but it's like when the horses are racing neck to neck. This is an interesting point here I want to point out. The horses are racing neck to neck. Now, they know when they have to take off to get over that obstacle. And very often they're neck to neck, and one is a little ahead of the other. The one that's second often has the harder time because he jumps too soon. This horse has jumped. This one follows. But it doesn't take, and because they're in the see, what they do is measure the steps, measure the way they are. And so that happens. And to me, well, I was raised with it. So I was very excited. Not when the horses got hurt. No, I didn't like that. But it is actually, so often metaphors of life are around us. If we look, the ocean, I lived by the ocean most of my life until I came here where I am now, which is lakes. But the ocean, the water comes in and the water comes out, or goes out, I should say. It's life. There are times when there's when we like food. I live in the Okanagan Valley where there's lots of fruit, normally, lots. But then there's not that much because we hit fall and then things change a bit. But springtime, usually we have a lot of nice fruit, cherries and apples are in the fall, but there's lots usually to have fresh fruit. It's very nice. Vegetables, fresh vegetables, etc. But I'm getting off. What I really want to say is that there's patterns. There's patterns in what they do, and timing. I was never good at really timing everything, but I learned that, we have our pluses and we have our not so plus, but it is like our lives are like a race in a way. Sometimes people come at life full bore, and then either something happens or that things fade away. It's never stayed. But I have been inspired time and time again when I've hit those times where things change. Things happen, things change. I'm in the desert. What do? If I didn't have a philosophy, I don't know if the miracles that have occurred in those times, whether I would have picked them up, whether I would have responded to them. I don't know, because I was lucky. I did respond to those. And with the help of friends that were always very supportive and helpful, things have always worked out in a way that I wanted them to and how they were. But that's because I have a philosophy. And I really do, especially on Wednesdays and on Sundays. I really like to share the philosophy as much as I can. Monday night's a little bit different. Monday night is where I do the prayer work, and also help you understand what the issue is, what is behind that. And so that's my fun night, you might say. That's where I enjoy those. It gives me great pleasure to do those. And I appreciate the people responding to that, which is nice. So again, what do you use to inspire you when things are a little dark? What do you use to motivate you when you want to make a change? There has to be something, because you might think, I just do this, but what is your philosophy? What's your belief? Do you believe that you'll end up on your feet, even though it looks like all the corners have boxed you in? Do you believe to follow what you know inside your heart, what you need to do? All of those things are very, very important. And so this Sunday, that's what to think about, because come Wednesday, Monday night, I have the mental mind treatments, and I have a reminder in my head saying I really needed to thank all the new subscribers that have come in the last couple of weeks. I really want to thank you for that, and hope you enjoy what I do and the three shows that I have. And hopefully soon I'll be back doing some shorts again, because I really want to, because there's lots of little things I can put out there. So that's going to be one of the things that hopefully is going to be starting as soon as next week. Well, yeah, probably next week. What else is I got to say is that you are the driver of your own life. You're the one that's going places. But who's behind you? Who has your back? The universe has your back, whatever you call it. Doesn't matter the name. It has your back because it loves you beyond measure. Sounds simple, hard to actually know, because we are judgmental people, unfortunately, and we tend to guess who we judge the most, usually is ourselves, even though we may not think we do that, but we do. Anyway, I've talked longer than I usually do on a Sunday morning. I want to thank you for listening. I noticed that both Yvonne and Marion have left a comment. Yvonne says, thanks again. Marion says, great lesson, and thank you. And it's true. You learn after a while that everything adds to you. It's what you do with it. It's what you do with it. Have a great week. Have a great week. And thank you for being here. And I just want to say I appreciate you, every one of you. So bless you. Bye now.